My wife insisted I watch her sister's two little gremlins every weekend so they could hit the clubs. When I refused, she tried giving me an ultimatum, so I hit her with divorce papers instead. "What's up, Reddit?" My wife demanded I babysit her sister's sons. I did it twice. Both times were a disaster. I told her it wasn't happening again. She blew up, called me useless in my own home, and threw an ultimatum at me. 2 days later, I slid divorce papers across the table. "Grab your snacks. This one gets messy. I'm Milo, 32, male." I'd been married to my wife, Bonnie, for 3 years when her sister moved back into the picture and everything went downhill fast. We weren't some fairy tale couple, but we were steady. The kind of marriage where you still enjoy being around each other. Dated for 2 years, had a simple, affordable wedding. Honestly, one of the smartest financial decisions we ever made. I work in supply chain management for a mid-sized distribution company and make around $78K a year. She's 30, handles office management at a dental clinic and brings in about $42K. From day one, we kept our money separate. Her account was hers, mine was mine. We split the mortgage and bills proportionally. No drama. The house is mine. Bought it a couple years before we met when the market wasn't completely feral. Mortgage is reasonable, mostly paid down. Bonnie moved in after the wedding because her tiny studio apartment was almost as expensive as the mortgage her car situation, though was where things got fun. Her old 2009 Toyota died 6 months into the marriage. Transmission blew on the highway and stranded her for hours. The fix was quoted at $3,200 for a car barely worth $2,800. So I co-signed for her new Camry. Better rate, better deal. Titles in both our names, but I'm the primary. Insurance is under my policy too. Remember that it matters later. Life was fine. We had routines. I'd hit the gym at 6. She'd wake up around 7. I made coffee. She'd usually ruin toast. We'd go to work, text through the day, come back home and actually talk to each other. Weekends were for catching up on shows, trying new places to eat, and watching games with my buddy Silas. Just normal, peaceful married life. Then 6 months ago, her sister called. Haley's 33, recently divorced and has 2 boys, 6 and 8. Let me describe these two. Aiden, the 6-year-old, has the energy of 3 espressos and the judgment of someone who's never thought before acting. Luca, the 8-year-old, somehow manages to be even more chaotic. He's reached that age where he thinks he's a genius and behaves accordingly. Together, they're like a tornado with sneakers. Haley had been living several states away with husband number 2, but that marriage fell apart. Apparently, the guy got tired of raising people who weren't biologically his and gave her a choice. She chose the kids, he chose peace. Next thing she knew, she was hauling her life back home. Her plan was to stay with her parents, but they lasted 1 week before telling her that wasn't happening. So she got a 2-bedroom apartment about 20 minutes from us. The first visit was okay. 90 minutes of semi-normal behavior. Haley looked exhausted but functional. We ordered pizza, kids watched TV, adults talked. Bonnie was thrilled to have her sister close again. They'd been tight growing up but drifted after Haley moved second visit. Totally different story. Aiden broke a lamp, $50 replacement. Luca decided my leather couch was a trampoline. Haley barely looked up from her phone, throwing out soft, "Hey, try to be gentle, okay?" While they tested every rule imaginable. Third visit, Haley asked if we could watch the boys on a Saturday because she had a job interview. Fine, a few hours of babysitting won't kill us, right? I called Silas. If I was going to suffer, so was he. Silas, 34, commercial insurance, single by choice, showed up with energy drinks and the face of a man marching into battle. "You owe me," he said. "I promised months of free lunch." He accepted. Haley dropped the kids at noon, said she'd be back by 4. Interview was at 1. The math was suspicious, but whatever. The second her car left, Aiden immediately located every fragile object in the room like he had some internal radar. Luca started demanding pizza, YouTube, and the Wi-Fi password. "It's noon," I told him. "You just ate. I'm hungry or 6. You're always hungry. That doesn't make it urgent." Silas stared at them, then at me. "These are the kids that broke your TV? Yep. And you agreed to watch them again? Seemed reasonable at the time. Milo, you have the survival instincts of a goldfish. We tried a movie. Netflix, popcorn, the whole setup. It lasted 12 minutes. Aiden started doing parkour across the furniture. Luca discovered that throwing popcorn was more entertaining than eating it. Silas ended up with a kernel stuck in his eye. "This is a nightmare," Silas muttered, pulling popcorn out of his beard. "A genuine nightmare." And we're being punished for crimes we haven't committed. It's been 40 minutes, feels like 40 years. Time is broken in this house. You're being dramatic, I'm being accurate. I checked my watch at one point and swear the second hand was moving backward. 4 hours, we weren't surviving 4 minutes. At some point, Aiden discovered that if he yelled directly into the couch cushions, they made a funny muffled sound. He did this for 20 straight minutes, face shoved into the fabric, just screaming. Silas stared at me like he was debating whether to strangle me or himself. Why did I agree to this? He asked. Because you love me, I said. I'm reconsidering that friendship. Meanwhile, Luca found my Bluetooth speaker, paired his tablet, and blasted videos at maximum volume. One clip was literally just fart noises. Echoing, amplified fart noises filling my living room. By hour 2, Aiden somehow got into the garage and located my toolbox. He decided it would be a brilliant idea to take apart my bike. When I found him, he had the front wheel off and was looking way too proud I fixed it. He said, "No, buddy, you dismantled it." Same thing. Luca spent most of the afternoon bullying Silas with questions like, "Why are you so old? Why don't you have kids? Why is your beard weird? Do you live in your mom's basement?" Kid was out here performing psychological warfare. Silas, meanwhile, looked like he was about to Google, "Can you legally abandon children at a fire station if they aren't related to you?" Then they raided the pantry and found my protein powder. Aiden assumed it was hot cocoa mix. He dumped a random amount into a cup, added tap water, and chugged it like battery acid. Immediately spat it all over the kitchen. "A blizzard of white powder everywhere. I don't like it," he said. "That's because it's not hot chocolate, it's protein powder. Why do you have gross powder? Why did you drink something you didn't ask about?" Blank stare. At 3:30, Bonnie texted that Haley's interview ran long. "She'd be 2 more hours, maybe 3. You said 4 hours. I said. Silas glanced up. "Plans change. I want a new best friend. We ordered pizza because we were desperate. Surely food would calm them down." Wrong. Aiden took 2 bites and declared it disgusting. Luca inhaled 4 slices, then announced he was lactose intolerant and that his stomach hurt. The kid was lying around 5 p.m. Aiden found permanent markers and gave himself a full-body makeover. Arms, face, stomach. He looked like he'd just gotten out of prison. Silas started laughing so hard he was wheezing. I took pictures for evidence. I texted Bonnie, "Your sister's going to love this." Her response, "Oh no, super helpful." Then Luca found the toolbox again and tried fixing the kitchen cabinet. He removed 3 hinges before I caught him, and the entire door crashed to the floor. "I was helping," he said. "You destroyed it. It was already broken. It wasn't broken until you touched it." No reaction. He just walked away like nothing happened. By then, Silas was sitting on the floor looking spiritually broken. "This is character development," he said. "It's making me a stronger person. You don't sound convinced I'm not." Haley finally returned at 6:30, 6.5 hours later, looking refreshed like she'd spent the afternoon at a spa. New outfit, makeup flawless, hair done. Said the interview was amazing and thanked us like we just watered her plants instead of surviving a war zone. Silas turned to me once they left. "Never again." Same. I'm serious. If you were on fire and those 2 were the only ones with water, I'd let you burn. Message received. I need food. And therapy. Bonnie thought it was sweet that we helped and said Haley really appreciated it. I told her that was a one-and-done thing. She said, of course, she'd only ask again if it was an emergency. 2 weeks later, another emergency. Haley called on a Thursday night. She had a date, first one since the divorce. She really needed this. Could we watch the kids Saturday, just for a few hours? Bonnie did the whole sad puppy eye routine. Against my better judgment, I said yes. Called Silas. "Absolutely not. Bro, I need backup." I said never again. I meant it. I'm actually considering getting it tattooed on my forehead. "You don't even have tattoos." "I will after this call. I'll buy you lunch for 3 months. 4 months and you're covering my therapy bills. Deal. Saturday arrived like a death sentence. Silas showed up with his Nintendo Switch, ready to use it as a bribe. Haley dropped the kids off at 2, said she'd be back by 6, 7 at the absolute latest. "She's lying," Silas said immediately. "And you know she's lying." He was right. Luca immediately demanded Silas's Switch. Silas told him no. Luca threw himself onto the floor and started shrieking, not crying, screaming. Aiden saw this and joined in out of solidarity. 2 kids, yelling in stereo. I'm shocked the neighbors didn't call the cops. We calmed them down with snacks, fruit, crackers, juice boxes. 10 minutes of peace. Then Aiden said he needed to use the bathroom, so I took him upstairs. He locked the door, refused to come out, and started singing nonsense songs at max volume for 20 minutes. Meanwhile, Luca found a Sharpie. Don't ask me where, it materialized out of thin air. He used it to decorate my dining table. Drew something that I think was supposed to be a dinosaur, but looked like a demon having a mental breakdown. Silas tried cleaning it with rubbing compound. Made it worse. Now there's a massive gray smear across the surface that looks like a crime scene. Moving to Canada, Silas muttered, staring at what used to be my dining table. Aiden finally came out of the bathroom, announced he was bored, and proceeded to open literally every drawer, cabinet, and closet in the house. At some point, he found our wedding photo album, dragged it outside, and left it on the driveway. 10 minutes later, it started raining, my wedding pictures, absolutely drenched. Silas looked at me and said, "That's a cosmic message, man. When a 6-year-old destroys your wedding album, the universe is yelling at you around 4 p.m. We tried another movie. It held their attention for 7 whole minutes, somehow worse than our first babysitting disaster." Aiden suddenly burst into tears because he missed his mom. Luca told him to shut up. Aiden smacked him. Luca hit back harder. Next thing we knew, they were wrestling like WWE superstars in my living room. We split them up, one in the living room, one in the kitchen. Aiden immediately started taking everything out of the fridge and leaving it on the counter. Mayonnaise, eggs, ketchup. Just opened, sitting there like a crime scene. Luca, on the other hand, grabbed the TV remote, turned the volume up to max, and began cycling through channels so fast I was afraid I'd have a seizure. We're in an actual nightmare. Silas said, "We already covered that." I told him. At 5 p.m., Luca announced he was hungry again despite eating like 90 minutes earlier. I made him a sandwich. He took one bite, dramatically gagged, and threw the entire thing at the wall. Peanut butter and jelly everywhere. Aiden watched this and got inspired, launched his juice box at the kitchen wall. Juice dripped down in slow motion like we were filming some dramatic documentary on chaos. Silas, for the 3rd time that day, declared, "I'm never having kids. I'm scheduling a vasectomy. Monday morning. 6 a.m. 6 o'clock came. No sister. 7 o'clock. Still nothing." Bonnie texted saying Haley's date was going amazingly and she'd only be a bit late. Maybe 9 p.m. Silas looked like he was about to cry around 8 p.m. Aiden found my laptop, opened it, mashed random keys, and somehow changed the entire display language to Korean. I still don't know how to reverse it. Meanwhile, Luca rediscovered the Bluetooth speaker and blasted something that was either heavy metal or tortured screaming. Hard to tell. By 9 p.m., my house looked like it had been ransacked by raccoons. Food smeared everywhere, furniture misplaced, mystery stains on surfaces that I don't remember owning. Silas sat on the floor staring into the void like he'd lost all hope. "We could just leave," he said. "That's illegal, is it, though?" "Really? Yes, everything fun is illegal." Haley finally arrived at 9:47 p.m., glowing like she'd just been on the most romantic date of her life. Said she might have found the one, a man she had known for 3 entire weeks. Asked if the kids behaved. Bonnie told her. They were angels. Silas just stared at the wall like he was trying to detach his soul from his body. After they left, he said, "Friendship over. I'm blocking your number. I'm moving. I'm changing my name. You'll never find me. You don't mean that." "I've never meant anything more. That night I told Bonnie we were done helping with the kids. Not happening again. I didn't care if it was a true emergency. I didn't care if Haley's apartment was literally burning down around her. Those kids were not coming back into my house." She got quiet and said I was overreacting. "They're just kids. They're struggling with the divorce. You should be more supportive." "I supported them twice," I said. "I've reached my lifetime quota. My house is in ruins. Silas is experiencing spiritual trauma. My wedding photos are destroyed, and my table is covered in permanent marker. I'm done." After that, things shifted. Haley started stopping by more often, alone this time. She and Bonnie would sit for hours talking about empowerment, independence, and living your truth. Stuff that sounded like the intro pamphlet to a self-help cult. Then came the girls' nights. First one was a Wednesday. Bonnie came home around midnight, pounding on the door because she forgot her keys. Didn't apologize. Fine. People need a break. Second girls' night was Friday. She stumbled in at 2 a.m., tripping over furniture and laughing about it. Then it became a weekly thing. Sometimes twice a week. Clubbing, empowerment circles, and other vague outings that sounded suspiciously like excuses to drink and shop. She started dressing differently. More makeup, revealing clothes, sky-high heels she could barely walk in. Started talking differently too. Everything was about self-care, living authentically, and reclaiming her womanhood. Packages began appearing at the door, stuff she absolutely could not afford. Credit card statements piled up with balances over 6K and rising. Then she just stopped doing things, stopped cooking, stopped doing her laundry, stopped cleaning up after herself. "You're an adult," I told her. Handle it. Everything came to a head when Haley asked for help again. She met yet another new guy and wanted an entire weekend kid-free. Saturday and Sunday, she'd even pay us. "No," I told Bonnie. "Absolutely not." Her whole face changed, cold, annoyed. "It's one weekend," she said. "It's 2 full days with 2 tiny hurricanes who break everything they touch. It's a no. She's my sister. She needs us. She told me to watch her sister's kids every weekend so they could go clubbing. I said no. She tried guilt-tripping me. They've been through so much. Family supports each other." I reminded her I'd already helped twice and that my weekends weren't hers to volunteer. She didn't like that, slammed the bedroom door, and gave me the silent treatment for 2 days. When she finally talked, it was to tell me how disappointed she was, how a real husband would step up. A few days later, I came home to find her mom, her sister, and my wife sitting in my living room like an intervention. Haley cried about needing breaks, Gloria lectured me about family duties, and my wife stared at me like I was the villain. I told them no again and walked out of my own living room. After that, things spiraled. She went out more, came home late, barely spoke to me. Every week was the same fight about babysitting. The more I refused, the more she pulled away. She started repeating lines straight from Haley. "I feel trapped. Marriage shouldn't limit growth. I need to rediscover myself." Then came the breaking point. One Tuesday night, we were eating dinner in silence. She was glued to her phone, texting Haley nonstop. Out of nowhere, she brought up babysitting again. I told her no. She called me selfish. I told her I was setting a boundary. She called me childish. Then she said it. "Stop being useless. Be a man for once." That was it. I grabbed my keys and went to my buddy Silas's place. Told him everything. He asked if I was done. I said yes. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney. With no kids, separate finances, and the house in my name, it was simple. Papers were ready by Thursday. I went home while she was at work, laid the divorce papers on the kitchen table, left a note saying, "We're done. Get your things out by Sunday." Took photos for proof, grabbed my essentials, and headed back to Silas's at 5:40 p.m. My phone blew up, 19 missed calls in 12 minutes. Then the long text started. Disbelief, guilt, anger. By 7 p.m. the voicemails came, first crying, then furious, and "That's how I got here." The third voicemail had Haley in the background coaching her, telling her what lines to use. I ignored everything. Around 8:30, she showed up at Silas's place, banging on the door and crying. Silas told her I didn't want to talk. She tried pushing past him. He blocked her. She melted down in the hallway, saying we could fix things. Silas called through the door. "Your stuff gone by Sunday or donated?" She eventually left. 17 more calls. I muted my phone. Friday morning, I went home, changed every lock, and boxed up all her things, clothes, makeup, that live, laugh, love sign I'd hidden months ago. 23 boxes. Found charges she'd put on my card and upgrades she'd made on my accounts. Just more proof of how uneven things had become. Saturday, Haley showed up screaming at my door. I ignored her until she left. Sunday, all 3, Bonnie, Haley, and Gloria, came together. I pointed them to the boxes in the garage. Haley insulted me. Gloria tried lecturing me. Bonnie cried. I didn't budge. They loaded the boxes and left. Bonnie begged for a conversation. I told her it was already over. By Monday, the smear campaign started. Haley went on social media accusing me of emotional abuse, tagging Bonnie just enough for mutual friends to connect the dots. I screenshotted everything and sent it to my lawyer. Then she called my job. My boss shut it down and forwarded me the email she sent, telling me to document everything. The harassment escalated. Fake 1-star reviews about me, my house got egged, and someone even posted my address online. My attorney said we had grounds for a restraining order, but I held off. Saturday, Haley showed up on my lawn screaming. I recorded from inside. Neighbors came out. She left. Gloria came later, acting calm, saying I'd taken things too far. I told her daughters needed to stop the harassment. Sunday was quiet. I organized all the evidence. Then Wednesday, Bonnie texted saying she was fine with the divorce but keeping the car. I told her the title was in my name and she needed to return it or I'd report it stolen. She didn't. Thursday, I filed the report. Police recovered the car at Haley's place. Bonnie called furious, saying I'd ruined her life. That night she showed up begging. I told her Uber exists and didn't open the door. More nasty calls from Haley. Didn't respond. The divorce moved forward. Simple case, 30-day wait, no assets, house mine, no kids. By week 3, I heard through mutual friends that things weren't great for Bonnie. Haley's boyfriend bilayed after 3 weeks, tired of being dragged into instant stepdad mode. Haley was overwhelmed, dating life tanking, and Bonnie had no support system left. And guess who became the emergency babysitter? Bonnie. Every weekend, Haley dumped Aiden and Luca on her. She spent all her free time in that cramped apartment dealing with 2 chaos gremlins. One of her coworkers even reached out to me, worried. Bonnie had called out 3 times in 2 weeks, kept coming in late, started messing up schedules. The dentist warned her one more slip-up would put her on probation week 4. I heard she'd been fired, late 3 mornings in a row and just couldn't keep up. Her posts online shifted from empowerment quotes to sad breakup captions and forced self-care photos with Haley. The desperation was obvious. Haley kept ranting about toxic masculinity, and people either hyped her up or called out her manipulation. Then Silas told me the sisters had blown up at each other. Haley wanted Bonnie to take the kids overnight so she could go on a date. Bonnie said no. Haley went off, called her selfish, and even compared her to me. That part apparently cut deep. They didn't talk for 4 days until Haley apologized and the cycle restarted. Then came the inevitable, the desperate call. A blocked number, 4 tries before I finally answered. Bonnie's voice was wrecked. She sounded like she'd been crying for hours. She said she'd made a mistake, wanted to come back, would do anything. Suddenly, the guy she called useless was the man she needed. I told her no. Divorce finalizes in 6 days. She asked if I still loved her. I told her she should have thought about that before choosing her sister over our marriage. She begged. I hung up, blocked everything, phone, social media, email. Done, day 30, divorce finalized. Attorney emailed at 2:15 p.m. I texted Silas. We celebrated that night, food, drinks, quiet relief. Life smoothed out afterward. I worked, hit the gym, slept better, ate better. Cleaned the house, finished projects, felt peace again. Started dating casually, normal, respectful adults. No drama. 6 weeks later, Silas and I were watching a game when someone started pounding on the door like they were trying to break it. Silas checked the peephole. Your ex. And she looks rough. She kept pounding, yelling that she knew I was home. We opened the door. She looked wrecked, messy hair, smeared makeup, hoodie, sweatpants, eyes swollen from crying. She begged for 2 minutes. Launched into how she'd ruined everything, how Haley poisoned her, how she finally realized I was the best thing in her life. I let her talk. When she finished, I said, "Time's up." She begged again. Silas stepped forward. No offense, but you had a good guy for 3 years. You threw it away because your sister convinced you he wasn't enough. Now that everything's collapsed, you want him back. Too late. She snapped that it was between us. Silas corrected her. Ex-husband, emphasis on ex, and honestly, showing up here after everything takes some nerve. Your sister wasn't protecting you, she was dragging you down with her. Silas shook his head and said, misery loves company. Haley's twice divorced, drowning as a single mom, and every guy runs the second he sees the baggage. Instead of fixing her own life, she convinced you to wreck yours too, and you let her. He took a sip of water while my ex stood there crying on the porch. This is unbelievable, she said. 3 years of marriage and this is what I get. Then she looked at me. Have you really moved on? Yes. She didn't believe me, waited for me to crack, but I didn't say another word. After a minute, she gave up and walked back to some beat-up car I'd never seen, probably a rental. She sat there with her head on the wheel, then finally drove off. Silas closed the door. Silence, then he farted and whistled at the same time. Don't ask, he said. We both laughed. Went back to the couch, finished the game, talked about normal stuff, work, gym, Silas's disastrous date where the girl brought her ex along later after he left. I sat alone in my quiet house. No yelling, no guilt trips, no obligations, just peace. Put on some music, looked around at a home that finally felt like mine again. 3 years of marriage gone, 6 months of chaos over. One disrespectful comment started it all worth it.